So I wanted to ask you about crime, another thing that's traditionally been a concern for a lot of people.
I think with crime, I mean, ultimately, we want to have less people in prison. And in order to do that, you've got to change the way the criminal system operates. So we've got to, first of all, tackle things such as drug addiction and treat that as a health issue rather than criminality. We need to have more restorative justice. We need to have more offender rehabilitation. And we need to rebuild the trust that should exist between policing and people. So that means tackling things such as stop and search, tackling the disconnect now that has appeared because we've allowed this awful police and crime commissioner bill to come in where you've got these elected officials over and above the police service. So we need to scrap that. Need to have more local control again in terms of reconnect the policing with councils and with the work that's gone on in local government, more community policing, and try to get to a situation where we stop creating so many ridiculous laws. It seems as if Home Secretary after Home Secretary have got this desire to make a name for themselves by creating ever sillier laws, and anytime anything happens, there's a knee-jerk reaction, and they come out and say, "Oh, there's a new law. We're going to make it illegal to do X, Y, Z," and the laws already exist. We don't need to top them up. We don't need to put law on top of law. We just have to make sure that we are punishing those that won't behave in society and those that want to damage society, whilst helping and supporting those who may have, fell off the edge and are in need of our support, and trying to make good citizens rather than trying to make bad people badder.
And when it comes to things like passing new terrorism laws, where do you stand on that?
I just said about knee-jerk reactions, and what happens is that 7/7, 9/11, doesn't matter what. Home secretaries think they've got to do something. They've got to be seen to do something, so they introduce these new laws to combat terrorism. For me, and I think for the Green Party, murder is murder, and being an accessory to murder is being an accessory to murder. We don't need specialist murder laws for terrorists, because they ought to be brought to task and brought before a court for just the fact that they're aiming to kill people. And so I think the more terrorism law we introduce, the more foggy the whole area around security law becomes, and all we're doing is making the lawyers very rich, and that's not sensible. And so I think we do need to have a commission, not just into policing, but into the judiciary and into what we're doing with our courts and the amount of time we're spending in courts chasing laws that really shouldn't be on the statute book anyway, and get back to some normality and get back to arresting, charging, and, if necessary, imprisoning people if they've committed crimes that warrant imprisonment. But if they've got issues such as drug addiction and or they can be rehabilitated, then that has to be a better option.